welcome to Fiverr Friday on a VO's journey. My name is Anthony Pica. This show is all about helping the new and upcoming voiceover artists grow their business and sidestep all the crazy things that I seem to step on. That's right. Today is Friday, May 22nd. We are live. I want to welcome everybody from YouTube, from Twitter, from Facebook. Thank you guys for being a part of Fiverr Friday, episode 21. Can you believe we have done 21 episodes of Fiverr Friday? That's pretty darn cool. And today, I think it's going to be very intriguing for you because we are going to be talking about pricing and how things are definitely changing on Fiverr when it comes to pricing. And I think that, we're all always, wondering about this thing that, when do we raise our prices? How long do we have to, sell things for $5, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm excited to talk to you about that today. So if you're new to Fiverr Friday, we have a little bit of a conversation about some things that I think are prevalent and going on right now. And then you have an opportunity to ask whatever questions or you have any comments that you want to put down. And I go ahead and answer them to the best of my ability. And we move on from there. So today, we're going to be talking about pricing, and, I have definitely seen, and I'm sure you have too, right? There is a lot of trending data as you look at Fiverr as a whole with prices trending up. Now, this has a lot to do with, I think, the fact that Fiverr themselves are doing everything they can to raise the average prices of everyone. They're adding more things, trying to bring more customers to Fiverr that are willing to pay more. And as the more and more I see people, and I do reviews and I coach people and I'm on Fiverr, the more I'm getting that feeling that, starting out at $5, okay, is not as important, okay, at $5 or $10, than $10 or $15, okay. I mean, I don't think it's as important as getting your description, getting your thumbnail, getting your demo, getting your FAQs, getting all the things that your extras, everything set up correctly. I actually think that, moving your pricing to $10 is not that big of a deal, okay? And in fact, I think that, we've been such a big, I've been such a big advocate of you running your business the way you need to run it in order to get business so that you're not, at a stalemate. And $5 was a hook, starting out at $5, whether it was 100 words for $5 or 150 words or whatever, was a hook on Fiverr to start. But I think now, I just feeling that the more I see, it's not as much of an issue starting at $5 than it is as opposed to $10 or even $15. Now you might say, okay, well, what's giving you that feeling? Well, here's the thing. I have, first off, I do want to say with a caveat, there's always going to be the people out there who want more for less, right? I mean, there's always going to be those people. That's a part of doing business in the world, and we just have to be aware of that, okay? So, don't write everything off based on outliers, okay? Does that make sense? Wow, Clint. That's pretty crazy. So anyways, I think that threw me off, Clint. I just had someone minutes ago ask me if I could do 4,000 words for $5. That's crazy. Wow. Yes, that Dave G, that is correct. I've often said that too. If people raise their prices, if everyone collectively raised their prices, unionize Fiverr. Well, I'm telling you, I think that it is definitely starting to happen more and more, especially if you look on Fiverr, the first few pages, right? I mean, those prices are up more than normal, right? More than they used to be, and they are still getting the majority of the work. Okay, so there is something to be said about raising your prices. However, we have to be careful, though, that we don't get too trigger happy and raise the prices and be like, all right, I knew it. It's time to raise them by $50. Okay, we got to be careful that we're not overdoing it. And the reason is because, we want to make sure that we are staying in line with the growth of your business, the growth curve. And what I mean by that is it's clear that Fiverr has a curve to it, right? Like, the more reviews you get, the more jobs you get, the more authority you get. And that in turn allows you to charge more and you raise everything is kind of like, it's on a ladder, if you will. But I think that the starting place has always been $5. And all I'm saying now is I really do believe that, starting at $10 instead of $5 is not a game killer. Like, I don't think it's going to destroy your business. Do you know what I mean? I think it's going to help you. And if there are people who are fighting for that $5, I promise you, if you have someone who's arguing with you over $5, you're never going to make them happy. No matter what you give them, they're just not going to be happy. You could give it to them for free and they would demand, like 10 revisions. It would not be good enough. So, that's that pricing, it's not the price that's the issue. It's the person who's purchasing it, and there's nothing we can do about that, right? We just have to live with that. So, I just thought that was interesting that I'm seeing, and I really think you should consider looking at your work. And I normally never tell people to like a hard line in the sand about, you need to raise your prices or you need to lower your prices. I just do think at this point, that if you were to raise them to $10 as opposed to $5 or even $15 for 150 words or something like that, I don't think that is going to, tank your business. I think it's going to give you some opportunities. Just be aware, though, if you do change something on Fiverr, note that, just like anywhere else, there might be a little lull, there might be a downtick for a period of time. Of course, it's difficult for us to even say because hopefully Fiverr brings back their stats here soon. If anybody from Fiverr is watching, please bring back the stats. Because I don't know where we want our stats back, because that's definitely something that I've loved and I know we all love, and without them we feel kind of lost, right? And which tells us something as well. But anyways, I just find that interesting and would love for you to comment on that, talk about it if you will, or have any questions. But that's just my thought. And if you notice, a lot of people, top-rated sellers and down, a lot of people aren't charging $5 anymore. A lot of people are charging $10, $15, $20, $25, $30, $45, $50. People are charging these, and people are getting lots of business on Fiverr. So, now, again, I don't want you to say, well, Anthony said to charge, $50, and I'm not getting any work. Be careful with that, that kind of thinking. I'm just saying that I feel like if you are charging $5, raising your rates to $10 is not going to get you less business, is what I mean. Another thing, more words. I noticed this happens after you get beyond 150 words. I think like if you're offering $5 for like 10 or like 200 words or 200 words for $5, I don't think that's really, I don't see any benefit after 150 words. Because if you think about what we do, 150 words usually stays within the line of a minute. Okay, 100, 150 words. And, that's pretty general. So I think, for at least for the most what I've seen, that's pretty standard. So if you are offering 200 words, trying to give a little bit more, again, there's always exceptions to the rules. Remember this, there are always outliers. Every time you do something, you'll find somebody over here, right, that's doing something. You're like, oh, look, that's that one person. And then you'll find someone over here and you're like, oh, look, there's that one person. But the majority of us, right, the majority of us are not having that same outcome. So there will always be outliers, and our jobs as successful business owners is to take all that data and be able to synthesize it and make a decision based on what is the overwhelming majority of data. Okay, because I'm not saying that you and I can't be the outliers. But, to build everything around that without being aware of the other data, I think is foolish. That I'm not saying don't strive for it. I'm just saying be aware, okay? All right, so anyways, I think this is a great topic to talk about. I've had a lot of questions about it recently because I'm not the only one who's noticing the changes on Fiverr and the people raising their prices and still getting lots of work. So let's go ahead and go to the board. If you've got any questions or comments, this is the moment to post them. All right, Greg, what's up, my man? It's good to have you. Eric, it's good to have you. My friend Clint, good to see you, sir. Jeremy, what's up? Zach, hello. Just had someone minutes ago, right? That was Zach. I just start liking your videos before even watching because of the info is so reliable. Thank you, Clint. I appreciate that. Dave says, yo, if someone raised, we talked about that, and absolutely, absolutely. Dan, what's up? Saw your previous stream about trying hard to cancel, but I'm running into an issue of buyers just blowing by the commercial rights requirement. They read it, and they just don't seem to care. All right, so Dan, thank you very much for sharing, and this is definitely a problem that I think is worth talking about, and there are many different solutions, I think, to it. There's 3 different ways I think you can handle it. The first way is that you're going to, and I think this is the truth no matter what. The price of doing business online is you're going to work with some people who try to scam you. Okay, who try to pay the least amount of money possible, try to get things around you. It's funny, the other day I heard someone message me and said, oh my gosh, you're just, did you do a voiceover for this company? And I was like, yeah, I did. And they're like, oh, it's so cool, it was on TV. I was like, on TV? I was like, they didn't pay me to be on TV, right? And could I go after the company? Sure, I could, but honestly, it's not like, to me, going after the company would probably cost me more money and more time than it was worth. Okay, because what do I hope to gain from that besides a little bit extra money? Now, again, I'm just talking about just something that happened to me recently. I'm not saying that that's a good thing. I'm not saying we let those things slide. I'm just saying that, determining which things you spend your time fighting is also really important, right? Because when we go up against other people, we have to spend resources like time and money. Okay, so we lose even more. So it begs the question, are we going to, are we doing it for the right reasons other than just some extra money? And is that money in the end worth it? Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. So anyways, that's the first thing, is accepting that sometimes people are going to get a fast one by you, and there's nothing that you can do about that. Okay, there's that one. The second part, I think, is there are a lot of people who like to take their rates and include, right? They include commercial rights within their base price so that that's never a problem, whether it's $5 with commercial rights or $25 with commercial rights. And that works for some people. It makes lives a little bit easier. And then they just have to argue about broadcast rights. But usually broadcast rights, if people are buying those, it's not as difficult to get through commercial rights. And then the third part is, and this is the part that I use, and I don't think any part of, anyone is better than the other, but the one I use is I literally have like 5 to 10 different places that I bring up commercial rights. You know what I mean? I bring it up in my description. I bring it up in the FAQs. I bring it up in the requirements page. I bring it up. I make them actually put a yes or no. And do I have issues sometimes? Sure. But most of the times, and as I post things, if you're in my Facebook group of VO's Journey, you'll see I post a lot of times I post snapshots of the work I have, like in my queue. And you'll see that 90% of them have purchased commercial rights, have purchased broadcast rights. Okay, but a lot of that also has to do with the price point you're at. The price point you're at on Fiverr matters, clearly, right? So if you're at that $5 price point, you're going to be fighting with people a lot more than at my price point, okay, where my average selling price is around $73. So it's a different price point, and that's why I think as we start to raise prices, that's going to get a little bit better. But you're still going to have people who are going to pay $5, and there'll be still people who will do that. And that's just something you as a business owner have to accept and be aware of. right? Be prepared for it. Don't be, whatever you do, don't be surprised by people haggling you. Okay, don't be surprised by it, because Fiverr has turned all of this into a retail type business, in my opinion, right? We know that, right? It's a product. Our voiceovers have become products. I like that because I think it's more sellable on a large, grander scale. But because of that, we're more like now, dealing with people who are buying a product, so they're going to try to get a rate that's less expensive, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's business. Okay, so our job is either to become really good negotiators or set up a system, like for example, offering it all in one package so that you don't have to worry about that, or being able to, like I do, is throw it at them in many different ways, and then force them to acknowledge that they're either accepting it or not accepting it, and then making them aware that there is a department in Fiverr for intellectual property claims. So I've done that sometimes too, but generally I like having the negotiation ability, because it allows me to reduce the price and still being able to work with people, even though I should be charging them more. But that's just me, right? You might not be that person who likes to negotiate, in which case, look at some of those other options. But whatever you do, don't just, throw your hands up in the air and say, this is not worth it. Okay? Because I make the majority of my money from those extras. Okay? That's how when I figured out my system, right, with the requirements, and I lay that out and shameless plug in my Fiverr course. Okay, the idea was I went to this whole process of yes or no, simple ways, because for a period of time I got the idea that the requirements page was so vital, but I wasn't really using it. All I used it for was to tell them to put their script through in any directions. Then I realized they had to figure that out, and I realized that when I bought something on Fiverr, and I realized I had to fill out that requirements page, or I couldn't get through to I couldn't get the job actually started. And I realized that, they have to fill that out. So like I added those things, like, do you need commercial rights? Do you need broadcast rights? I actually say, do you want to pre-purchase a revision? And I have many people who pre-purchase revisions. Then at the back end, I also ask a question like, why did you choose to work with me? And I've gotten some amazing data from that. Okay, like the slots on my demo that work really well, the process I have, that data has helped me help coach a lot of people from the data and the feedback I get from actual clients who are purchasing from me. So it's a good thing for you to think about too, is getting that data and asking those questions so that you can continually update and make your stuff better. Great question. Okay. That was a long answer, wasn't it? Okay, let's go back up here. Eric says, hope this does not throw our fearless leader off. I had a request last week for 16 hours of narration for $250. Exactly. $250 for 16 hours of narration is a lot of work for $250. And we know that would probably not be the best use of your time. We run into the issue, right, when people are sitting on their thumbs and it's like, I've got no work. Right? There's always, there's always an outlier. There's always some reason to accept work. I have, and I'll be honest and upfront with you, I've accepted work during times when there's been no work that I would never accept during times when I have work. Right? Because I've talked a lot about revenue management. I have to say again, and Eric, and we've talked about this, that's a lot. That's just too much work for $250. In my personal opinion, that's way too much work for $250. But if someone else wants to do that, I'm never going to be the person to tell you no. Okay? Unless you're paying me to coach you, then I'll tell you no. But other than that, it's your business. That sounded really kind of bad in a way, but it doesn't, right? Because it's different. I respect your decisions, but then if you're paying me to help you, I'm going to give you my honest opinion about it. Let's see. I could never get orders at $5. Once I changed to $10, they started coming in, and that's another thing to think about. you'll notice that, people pricing does also become a marketing tool, right? We often don't want to buy the cheapest thing, some of us, because we feel like if the cheapest thing, we're going to get what we pay for. Okay? And there is truth in that. And you'll notice that some people talk about hitting that sweet spot where they raise it to like $10 or $15 or $20 or $25, and all of a sudden more orders started rolling in. A lot of that has to do too with Fiverr also promoting you. Fiverr wants you to charge more because they want to make more money. But a lot of it has to do too with people thinking, okay, well, I will, like, they'll go on to the search button and they won't start at 5, they'll start at 10. And they'll type in 10 to 100. You know what I mean? And it start popping people up. So you have to think about that as well. So that's a great observation. Tom, what's up? Clint, recreating a new gig today. I hope it works out. Absolutely. Keep us posted. I figured what you meant. Jay, what's up, Jay? I had a buyer who marked his order complete, came back days later saying he didn't like it. I offered to revise it, but he went to someone else, demanded free work. Threatened to post bad review. All right, Jay, a couple things. One, was the 10 days after the account is after the gig goes through, the buyer has up to 10 days to post a review. Okay? However, whenever that happens to you or anybody else, just kindly let them know that you can't give a refund. The only way you could do that is to cancel the order. But if he accepted the order, you can't cancel it. It's already been pushed through and credited to your account. And Fiverr doesn't allow refunds. The only thing for him to do would be to go to Fiverr themselves and ask them. Now, could he post a bad review? The only way he could post a bad review is if it was within 10 days and he didn't post a review. All right? Now, they can change reviews. But if it was outside of that 10 days, they can't post a review. I've had people threaten me to post a bad review, and I'm like, you haven't even you can't post a review. You haven't even purchased anything. Or if they try to they cancel something, or there's, you know what I mean? People just being angry. I understand. We just can't make everyone happy. It's impossible. Okay, as much as we would like to. So my recommendation to you would be to let him know and say, hey, I apologize for, not working it out with you, or not being able to get you what you liked. Unfortunately, Fiverr won't let me give you a refund. I don't have any option to do that. Okay, you're more than welcome to contact Fiverr, but it's out of my control. I don't control that. Do you know what I mean? But I want to work with you, and I'm here to help. Okay, so if they've already accepted it, there's nothing much they can do. All right. And Fiverr will look at that as pretty, and I don't even know how much it costs. Right. So in that particular sense, Jay, that's what I would say. Hey, Anthony, are you doing any gig reviews again soon? Hey, Oscar, I typically do the gig reviews now during my Fiverr Elite group. That's on Saturdays. By the way, if you'd like to join Fiverr Elite, we meet Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, which we're meeting tomorrow morning, and we get together. We've got myself and many other top-rated sellers in that group as well, and our sole purpose is to help each other grow our business, our Fiverr businesses, through stats and analytics, through reviews. I do a lot of reviews. About half of the time is spent doing reviews for people, as well as doing tutorials and how to set up your gigs, how to get business. It's a really great group, so if you're interested in that. But Oscar, that's what I would say, check that out, just because timing wise it's too long for me to do it in this atmosphere anymore. So I do appreciate your question though. Jay, also thank you for your hard work on the channel, your content. Thank you, Jay. Facebook user, so if I'm at $10 for 150 words and I just got to level 1, is a bump to $20 or $25 excessive? Yes, and let me tell you why. I would recommend only raising your prices $5 at a time. And I would and moving up to level 1, all right, you could change it to $15. Sure. You could give it a shot. Okay? And it's going to take you probably a couple of days to see how that happens or how that works. Typically people see either upticks or they see downticks. Okay, remember this is over a period of time. Do you know what I mean? But I would not recommend jumping that much at once. because since you've got to level 1, that means you have at least some repeat clients or some people looking at working with you again. And because of that, you don't want to completely alienate your previous customers. Okay, so you don't want to jump too far all at once. I always recommend raise $5 at a time. Okay. Also, what you can do is you can also raise rates on your back end as well. So instead of raising that base rate, you can raise your commercial rights. You can raise your broadcast rights. Okay? All right? Great question. Let's see. Jay, if they said that, then you can also leave them a bad review. And I don't mean to disagree with you on that one, but I'm over the... even if people have left me non-star reviews, and I respect what you have to say, JC, and I respect what you have to say, I'm just going to offer a different, maybe a different way of going about it. Have you ever watched, this is, I know it's silly, but have you ever watched those like Hotel Impossible or restaurant shows or anything where, they talk about the Yelp reviews, and then they always get on there and someone left a bad review, and then you see the owner go on there and they leave a really nasty review, and then, and then you look at that and you're like, man, it's so unprofessional to leave a bad review. Do you know what I mean? Even though you want to so bad, and in many cases they really deserve it, right? But if we do that, remember, we're not the customer. Okay, so, our job, unfortunately, is to be pragmatic, all right, and to try to rise above that and apologize, and listen, because remember, that customer is if you think about it this way, if you think about that customer, yes, we want to make that customer happy, but what's more important is showing other customers that even if there's a mistake, they know that you're going to try to fix it. Okay? And then that's going to make you even more trustworthy. I went through a whole series a while ago of training when I was doing some work as a financial advisor for a brief period of time. It was turning bad customer situations into lifelong customers, and one of it was the opportunities of when something bad happens or a mistake and a customer is really angry and mad, it's an opportunity to turn that around. Perfect example, I had a customer recently who, for whatever reason, we just couldn't get on the same page about what it was, what the voiceover needed to be, and they were so frustrated about it, right? And so instead of me getting angry with them, even though I was trying really hard to help, and this is a tactic I take, I say, this is a perfect opportunity for us to do a live recording session so that you could actually coach me while we're doing it. I'll send you the extra, which was like an extra $75, $80. And they're like, oh, that's great. And they purchased that, and we're going to be doing a live, which is always I always rather do it live if I can. Point I'm trying to make, though, is they were so angry and upset, all right? For me, I thought about that as an opportunity to help both of us and to give them a way to, rectify the situation, and they spent more money. Now, does that always happen? No. But I would feel like I've had situations where I've wanted to leave bad reviews, but I always try to say thank you for working with me. And if they did have a problem, the bad thing is we don't know what review they leave. If you remember, Fiverr has taken that away from us. We can't see what review they leave until we did it. It didn't always used to be that way. You used to be able to see the review and then you could leave a review, but Fiverr doesn't allow that anymore. Now, actually, that's not true. They do. We can't see the original review on their account, but we can respond to it on our account. The problem with that is that people read our reviews. So you would be responding to their review and saying something nasty, and someone would be like, are you saying that about, if they're going to say that about them, what happens if I have that experience and then they're going to treat me badly, even though you were the victim, if you will. Okay, so that's just my take on it. All right, that's my take on it. Dan, I moved to a $10 minimum to try to avoid the cheapskates, but I still get a few trying to blow by commercial rights. Should I raise again? I'll be moving up to level 2 mid-June. So I've always had kind of two contacts, and I probably should have stated this too. One of the reasons I move up in price myself often is if I'm so busy, right? It's a way to manage revenue, and I've done other videos on revenue management, right? Raising prices, like supply and demand, right? Like a hotel, raising prices when it's busy and lowering prices when it's not busy, so that you can continuously have cash coming in. So my suggestion to you is that, you know, if you want to raise prices, okay, raise prices because you feel like you have the business to raise prices. Okay, so if you raise prices to $15, you give it a shot, or raise it $5 on the back end. But whatever you do, you know what I mean, raise it by $5 increments. All right, Ed says, I find when I provide a custom quote on Fiverr and bundle commercial rights and other extras, I don't get any protests, as people only see the package price. Yeah, by the way, that's another tip. Thank you, Ed. I always send, if it's a custom offer, I always include commercial rights no matter what. I don't tell them, hey, do you need commercial rights? I just include it, because the assumption is, for me, it's a very rare situation they don't need commercial rights. Part of all of this too, and is selling, is that you've got to be confident that it is expected. It's not a big deal when you offer it to them. Okay, we're not mean to them and saying, come on, cheapskate, just buy the darn stuff. Don't be cheap. All right, well, it's not that. It's just that it's expected that they purchase that, and that's the way it is, because they're using it for business. Okay, and by the way, I recommend when you put in like buyout, you say buyout, like you're buying out the use of my voice. Okay, don't say, like, I've had issues if I've used the wrong words. Okay, because like if I say, well, you need rights to run this commercial, they're like, well, I own the rights to my work. You know what I mean? You got to make sure you use your voice as what they're buying. Okay, and it's a buyout. Let's see. Clint, do they give you bad reviews when you are forced them to accept? Do they give you bad? Okay, good question. Well, I'm gonna answer that with a kind of a different take on it, but I'm gonna answer it. So basically, Clint, what I do is, if I do get a person who I send them and they don't want to buy commercial rights, or they purchase from me, right, and they don't buy commercial rights, and clearly I'm like doing a commercial, what I will do is I will say, hey, don't forget to buy commercial rights, okay? And you know, I will still put it through. This is the key. I will put it through, make sure I send the extra, but still put it through. And I let them make the decision. Because again, I'll be honest, Clint, I have to weigh the time. I have to weigh, like, what is it worth my time to be so angry or mad or frustrated with these people? It's not worth my time to do it. You know what I mean? And so I would rather give them the opportunity, move on to the next thing, okay? Focus on getting more clients. Does that make sense? And it is, you know what, Clint, it does bring up a good conversation about the difference between high volume work, okay, and low volume, high priced work, as opposed to like high volume, middle to lower price work. Okay, when I think that's a great thing to think about. You know, are you trying to get really a small amount of work that pays really well, or are you trying to get steady work, like more work that pays pretty decently or a little less expensive? You know, what are you trying to do? That's another thing too. You have to judge that for yourself. Okay, but remember, we are talking about Fiverr. All right, so that's important. Always remember the platform you're on. Clint says, brilliant data idea. Awesome, man. Jay, I also had 16 hours for $250 online design course that's being translated from Arabic. Interesting. That is interesting. I think that's similar to what Eric was doing. Do you believe Fiverr have an opportunity to better educate buyers about why they should purchase commercial or full broadcast rights? Possibly. They could. Remember, voiceover, and that is it's a good thing to say. I don't know how many people how many buyers they have that are going and reading blog posts. I'll be honest, I don't even, Fiverr's blog, I know they have one or they had one, but I pay little to no attention to even their blog. Okay. So, I mean, they do have a blog. I'm pulling it up now to see when their last post is. Fiverr's kind of gone in and out. So I guess they have done some, they do post it on their site. So you are right. I mean, they could do that. I will say that a lot of times, unfortunately, people in the voiceover category can feel a little less loved than some of the other categories. And that's usually because, honestly speaking, from Fiverr's point of view, voiceover is a great revenue source, but not near number 1 or 2 or 3. You know what I mean? So like logo design, a lot of the digital things are way more up there with the amount of money they make. So I think it would be a great idea for them to write an article about that, and that's a good recommendation. But, again, that would be a hard sell. So for us, that's why it's important that we try to educate them kindly through those different things like I said, and like the requirements page. Be better than prices don't matter. All right, Johnny Graphic says, I've had several jobs go well on Fiverr, but I still have no rating. Any idea what's up with that? Johnny, sometimes people leave a rating, sometimes people don't. What my recommendation to you is when you deliver an order, say thank you so much for your order. If you get a moment, please please feel free to leave a review. It really helps my business. Do not ask for a good review or a 5-star review. Just ask for a review. That's well within your terms of service rights. Fiverr recommends it, but do not ask for a specific type of review. Do you know what I mean? But I always ask for every delivery. I always ask for a review and a favorite to my gig so they can find it again. That should help you. Clint, my last question, are 1-word tags more helpful than 2-word tags? Clint, use them both, 2 or 3-word tags. It depends on what you're trying to, the long tail keyword you're trying to get in your title and your description. I like the longer tail ones because, usually following that train of thought will get you some better, come up in better places. Okay. But it all depends on your title. Media, let's see, Media, 1000, Media, Media King, I'm a dummy. Media King. Sorry, Media King. You might not want me to answer your question if I couldn't figure out your name. All right, Media King 1000. I've got 10 orders to go before I reach level 2. How can I get there? Just keep plugging away. Keep plugging away. That's really the best advice. Keep plugging away. You can, if you're looking for more business, create more gigs. Create more gigs. Remember we talked about titling gigs. 1 to 2 tones with a purpose, which is what Fiverr calls their categories, right? Video narration, and add voiceover. So like I have, or you could say I will narrate a calm and casual video narration voiceover. Do you know what I mean? Add those types. Okay, please run through your data collection system. End of gig stuff. Thanks. All that is me just putting down as a requirement that they have to fill out why did they choose to buy from me. Okay, and I literally take that and they have to fill out something. And they're usually very happy to. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes I get big answers, sometimes I get 3 or 4 word answers, but it's a great way to do it. Okay? Facebook users, raise it $5 per level or wait a couple of months. You can do it either, since you have to wait usually you have to wait a month or 2 anyways to get to another level. Do you know what I mean? Until you get top rated seller, of course. $5 per level is not a bad idea. Some people like to wait until they get to 100 reviews. Like I said, I raised my prices when I literally could not do any more work physically. I was making about $3,000 at the time a month on Fiverr, and I couldn't do any more work at $5 an order. Now, again, all orders aren't $5. That's just the base price plus everything else. So I raised my prices because I couldn't do any more work and I wasn't going to make any more money. So I realized the only way to make money is I'm going to have to raise my prices. And then I ended up 10, then I ended up 15, then I ended up 20, now I'm at 25. Plus on my back end, I charge $30 for commercial rights and $55 for broadcast rights. But again, I've got thousands of reviews and I'm a top rated seller. And there are people that are way more expensive than me. So, it's just, I would always recommend doing it $5 at a time. And don't be doing like $5, 2 days, $5 2 days. Do it $5, wait a little while. Clint, I think Fiverr should allow customers to be able to change a review. Up to 10 days they can, Clint. So you are available to ask a customer to change a review or give a review up to 10 days. Voiceover Angela, happy Friday, everyone. Happy Friday, you're late. Let's see, JC. I made a gig extra for lifetime buyout national broadcast usage for $100 and have sold one so far. That's awesome. That's really great. And that's what I love about Fiverr is maybe you don't want to offer buyouts. Maybe you want to offer that type of, I've seen people on there do, $150 for 6 months, for usage fees or a year usage fees. You can do that by adding the extras. I love that. The City Troll, good morning. Good morning. Ed, thank you, Anthony. Your frank and honest advice is most appreciated. Keep smashing. Thank you, Ed. I appreciate that. Famicom Mike, thoughts on Casting Call? Every time I've gone on Casting Call, it was, they don't pay. I mean, I know some people get paid, but I don't think you get paid very much. So I don't think that many people get paid at all. So I don't use Casting Club. I've been on it a couple times to check it out, but I don't use it. So that's just my thoughts about it. But I know it's a good place to do video game work for free. If you want to do video game characters for free, Casting Club is a good place to go. I was on chatting with Tim Tippett. Awesome. Love Tim. Club, right. Oh, root.club. I only get out of bed on CCC for the $50 plus jobs. Okay. Oh, okay. The Casting Club. Okay. I gotcha. Yeah, see, so I don't even really use that site, but you might talk to somebody else. I can't give you too much info, just that I know they don't really pay much, if anything. The ones that I saw weren't really paying anything. It was more of a free site. I recommend buying Pika's Fiverr course. Guys, it's really good. Oh, thank you, Greg. I appreciate that. I'll send you a check later. Thank you, Greg. I appreciate it. No, it is a good course. It is a good course. It's kind of like my flagship course. Well, hey, listen, you guys, thank you so much. Amazing questions today. Amazing. Thank you. And again, to sum this whole thing up, raising your prices $5 at a time isn't a bad idea. However, don't get trigger happy and try to raise it $20 or $30 or you will tank your business. And at the same time, come up with something with yourself where you agree, hey, when I get to 100 reviews, okay? I have a friend, Chuck, who always says, I got to 100 reviews, then I raised my prices. I love that. That's a great way to raise prices, all right? I personally raised my prices when I was so busy that I couldn't do any more work. You have to decide when you want to raise your prices. Maybe you do raise them by $5 when you get to the next level. That's fine too. But just make sure you have a system in place where you can at least say, okay, now it's time to raise by $5. And also, don't be afraid to raise it on the back end, okay, as well, because all that adds up. All right, how much is the Fiverr course? Oh, $97, my man. It is worth every penny. $97. Good course, and you have lifetime access to it. You made me say the price of my Fiverr course. Good for you. $97. It's a couple hours of content. You have lifetime access to it. You can find it on my website. All right, so let's see. A couple more things. 2 more 100 plus monthly earnings, and I'm in. All right, Clint. Johnny, I raised mine too much early on, and it definitely backfired. Had to take the L and lower them again. Yeah. Greg, how many sales gets you to level 1? 10. 10 sales. I think you have to have 10 sales, but now you have to reach 10 sales and been on the platform for a certain period of time, whether it's 60 days or something like that. I could be wrong, but there's definitely requirements, but I believe it's 10, and you have to be on the platform for a certain period of time. I now qualify for level 2, and my rates have been $5 since. Let's see. We'll start with raising your prices on the back end first. Yep. What happens to your account once you reach level 1? So once you reach level 1, you basically kind of get into another category. You're promoted differently on Fiverr, and there's also search categories where people can search for just level 1 sellers. Plus, you get a little bit extra things like you get 10 gigs instead of 7, so you get to put up 10. Now, if you were not in the voiceover section, they add multiples, and what multiples are is meaning that when you create a gig, it's like a package. You can add multiples onto that package, but it doesn't really affect us as voiceover artists because we use words. But you do get a couple extra things, and you can see it on Fiverr. They have a little thing that tells you what the levels mean. But once you go to level 2, it's 20 gigs. You still have 2 weeks for money. When you get to top rated seller, for me, the biggest thing was they give you your money in 7 days, which is really nice instead of 2 weeks. Let's see. Start with raising your price. Yeah. Algorithm favorability goes up. Yes, it does. It does. But you still have to make sure you got all of your stuff, set up correctly. All right, you guys, we've been on for a while. It's probably time for me to go. I really do appreciate it. I have some work on Fiverr to get done. Level 1 is 20 orders and 400 USD of order, Anthony. That sounds good. 20 orders and 400 USD of order. That sounds great, Martin. That sounds awesome, man. Congratulations. I'll take that all day long. Good for you. Thank you, Johnny. I really appreciate that. All right, you guys, you have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Remember, if you are interested in joining the Fiverr Elite group, please do so. There'll be a link in YouTube, and also you can go to my website. Or thank you for mentioning the Fiverr course. It's a fantastic course. You can find that on a VO's journey. I also have a link in the YouTube below for that. All right, you guys, thank you so much. Have a good weekend. Be safe. And everybody, I will see you tomorrow for Fiverr Elite if you are in the group. All right. Bye, everybody. Goodbye.